From an economic horror movie, Batman seems to be the saviour for Warner Brothers and Gotham City, for that matter, this year. After the sequel, The Dark Knight, broke the company's Spider-Man 3 box office records for best opening weekend ever. But what other summer blockbusters will light up the cash registers? Well, let's talk about the movie story. Joining us now to give us the lowdown on what films will be raking in the sales, Darryl Collins, director at Seesaw Media. Good evening.
Hi.
The Dark Knight, is it as good as it sounds?
Better. It's phenomenal. I was very lucky enough to go and see it in New York at the premiere there in IMAX, and it's a film to go and see on the small screen, the big screen, IMAX, whenever you can. It's just a great movie.
Get to see it. Okay. Economic contraction. Is this the reason why people go and see movies, or do they stay at home and watch DVDs? And is this why maybe we saw such a great opening weekend?
I think there are a number of reasons why we saw such a great opening weekend, but I mean, this film is it's surpasses any other superhero movie out there. This year we've had The Hulk, we've had Iron Man, we've had all of these other action films out there, but this film really kind of sets the bar for others to be. It's taken the whole movies to a new level. It's much more intelligent, it's deep, it's thoughtful. It's not just for kids, it's for adults, and probably more for adults than kids, actually. Kids are going to see it because it's Batman, but adults should go and see it because the performances by Heath Ledger, by Christian Bale are just phenomenal. They are just brilliant, and they just light up the screen.
It did very well this weekend, despite some tough competition. A completely and utterly different film, but Mamma Mia has a cast list of sort of quite A-list people in it, doesn't it? And also is probably aiming for that family stroke adult audience as well. I mean, a totally different film, I admit, but it's still some tough competition.
It is, but it was also, I guess, in some ways it's counter-programming, because Mamma Mia is, in some ways, because it's a musical, and it did very well in its own right, because it was the highest opening weekend for a musical. It beat things like Chicago, etc. But with something like Mamma Mia, it's probably aimed close to more the female market. I mean, The Dark Knight...
No, you don't say.
Just a bit, yes, no, exactly. And I guess the Mamma Mia is the female, and The Dark Knight's the daddy of all movies, counteracting it. But I mean, they're saying that The Dark Knight is, it was reporting out a 52 split, male-female split, so Dark Knight does appeal to the women as well. But it's just Mamma Mia is it has that female audience, and Dark Knight is just really...
I already know when I'm going to be dragged to the cinema to see The Dark Knight, so yes, it does have a mix of
And
both.
your other half is going to see Mamma Mia when?
I don't think so. I don't think that'll happen.
It was filmed on Skopelos, which is it's just an absolutely amazing island anyway. But let's just talk a little bit about Batman again. Heath Ledger obviously died sadly during the making of it. Has that, do you think, encouraged people to go and see it? Because it was a phenomenal performance, I'm hearing, and that just adds that sort of extra little element to it, that this was his last movie and it was such a great performance.
No, and it does, unfortunately. It's to go and see the movie because his performance is a great reason to go and see the movie, but it's not the only reason. I mean, obviously, when he died back in February or the beginning of the year, that started making people bring awareness to the movie, and it started to rank up the people's awareness of the movie much earlier on. Exactly, much earlier on than expected. Some people was talking about Heath Ledger, everyone was talking about his performance, and his performance actually it is just amazing. He kind of, I wouldn't say he steals the show from Christian Bale, because Christian Bale is phenomenal in this, but it's just literally you go there for the evil character and you see how good he is.
What about some of the other summer stuff coming up, perhaps the more family end? Wall-E? I don't even know how you say this one. What do you make of that? What's its chances? It's Pixar again.
It's Pixar, and they're saying it's probably Pixar's best movie since Monsters, Inc., and it's a film that, unlike something like The Dark Knight, there's hardly any talking in it at all. So it's literally just for the first half hour, there's not a word said. I mean, that's going to do really well, and that's great for the kids, and you can take, it's not just for kids once again, it's like for adults as well, so that's going to be a big film. But I guess this summer, the Dark Knight is the one that's going to take the crown. I mean, someone's saying that Indiana Jones is probably going to beat it, or Iron Man, but already with 158 million is actually the official opening box office. It's stormed things like, with Batman.
Indy was a huge disappointment, though. I can't still get my head around it. Just finally, to DVD, do you think they'll take these movies as quickly to DVD? When you get a kind of a blockbuster like The Dark Knight, do you want to convert it quickly now into DVD sales? How does it work? Because thinking within the industry seems to be changing.
Well, normally there's the window is roughly about 6 months between theatrical and DVD. Normally, if a film doesn't do that well theatrically, then they want to rush it to DVD as quickly as possible. But something like The Dark Knight, especially because a lot of it was shot in IMAX, and especially with special IMAX cameras that Christopher Nolan shot, they're going to want to keep that at the cinema as long as possible, especially IMAX. I mean, this is the highest grossing weekend for IMAX ever as well. I mean, IMAX, they were selling out before the film was even released. They were doing pre-dawn screenings, 6 a.m. screenings, so people would go and see this movie. So I think they're going to try and keep this at the cinemas as long as possible. And actually, if you think about it, there's nothing really now in the window that's going to really... This is probably the last big summer movie before you got Harry Potter and before you got Quantum of Solace, which come out in October, November time. So there's nothing really to push it off the cinema window.
Right. Daryl, great to see you.
Pleasure.
And I'm looking forward to seeing the movies. Daryl Collins joining us from Seesaw Media.